Hey everyone, Dan Shure here of Experts in the Wire, the SEO and Marketing Podcast. Recently, I had Noah Kagan as a guest on the show. We chatted a lot about his marketing process, which is great. You can go to evolvingseo.com/Noah to check out the entire show in the show notes. But a few days before the interview, Noah emailed me and he said, Dan, how about we turn the tables for the second half of the show and you give me some SEO tips and advice for my site, OkDork.com. I said, Noah, I'd love to. Let's do it. When I gave him that advice on the audio-only interview, we ended up screen sharing, so there was some visual stuff going on there. I've created this video as an add-on to that audio-only podcast to show you directly some of the screenshots, the tools, the search results. This video wasn't really meant to be a standalone thing on its own. It's just adding on to your podcast audio listening experience. If you want the full thing, go to evolvingseo.com/Noah, where you can find the full audio interview and the show notes and everything. Go to evolvingseo.com/Wire to check out all of the Experts in the Wire podcast. We talk a lot about SEMrush as a tool. You can go to evolvingseo.com/SEMrush trial for a free 15-day pro account to play around with SEMrush. Let's get right into some SEO tips for Noah. Your number one goal is email signups on OkDork. Is that correct?
It's the podcast is my number one goal. On OkDork, I believe getting them to join an email list is easier to convert them to a podcast listener than just trying to say, go to the podcast right away.
I see. So yes. Okay. That's your conversion. And the first thing, and you've a lot of what you've talked about is in my notes, but I think the SEO component is just connecting some of these dots together.
Some of these
things are, what's that?
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited.
Some of these things are strategic, some are a little technical, but I'm just going to get right into it. One of the first things I would do is and you've mentioned doing this already, but I think you want to apply an SEO approach to this. So you're going to take videos and repurpose those into blog posts?
Yeah, I've started doing that.
So what I would do... Yep.
Yeah, keep going. No, keep going. I'll shut the hell up.
Sure. What I would do is take all the topics of those videos and basically, so one of them is Gmail shortcuts, or you did a video about that.
Yes.
Those are your keywords. Just simply grab search volume off of those and then grab a difficulty score, whether that's for Moz difficulty or SEMrush, or maybe you just look at the search results and we could talk about analyzing that. But I think the layer of SEO is going to be helpful for you to do the prioritization that you like to do with topics. So now you have a prioritized list of the video topics that are the ones you should first be creating into blog posts because they have higher search volume, and you're going to sort by highest search volume and then look for the ones that have maybe lower difficulties. So you're looking for that sweet spot. Those are going to be the ones that you would want to translate into blog posts. That'd be step number one. Then from there, what you can do is you can use a tool like SEMrush. And I think what I am going to do now is share my screen very quickly here.
Yeah, please, dude. This is super interesting. Are you recording the screen share?
I'm not recording the screen, but the listeners are probably familiar with SEMrush as a tool. So
let's not make assumptions.
I have a smart audience. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's good to compliment those people.
Yeah. So the next step is what you want to do is you want to find sites that are like yours. Not necessarily like your personal blogs, so you find other personal blogs. Find sites that have similar topics and maybe even higher domain authority or bigger than yours. So strategically, you're not just a personal blog. You want to be up there with Zapier or Lifehacker. So when you find these similar sites, you're going to use a tool like SEMrush. And I'm going to talk through it for the listeners. The first thing that you want to do is plug in Zapier.com, go to the pages report, and here's a list of Zapier's top trafficked organic content. And the strategy here is that you're going to look at their top traffic content, and you can do things like you can dig into the keywords that are ranking for that piece of content. So best calendar apps. And by the way, this number says 5,900 visits a month to this one page. It's probably more like 10,000 because SEMrush doesn't have all the long tail stuff. So then what you want to do is dig into their keywords and maybe reverse engineer. Is this a topic? Does this post represent a topic that I would be interested in writing about? And
so let's say I take this keyword like best school calendar or something like that. And then I guess that's one thing I've been trying to figure out in general is like, how do I prioritize the list of content to create to maximize my return of time?
Yes. What I would do, assuming all your content creates the same amount of time roughly to create, what I would do is take this exact report in SEMrush. So you talk about remember the toothbrush episode with Tim Ferriss? You talk about pre-vetting products. This is all we're doing with SEO. We're pre-vetting content. It's the same thing. It's just applied to content. So you're taking Zapier, who's already created a best calendar apps piece of content. They're showing you that they're getting 6,000 visits or more a month. So what you would do is take all of the topics that you're interested in, whether you find them on Zapier or Lifehacker or a 4-Hour Workweek or any of them, you put them in a list, and then you grab this number from SEMrush. You grab the estimated traffic potential number. That's assuming they, are ranking in these positions, and that's assuming that you could potentially rank in those positions as well. And then that's your number. You sort it by that, and you say, okay, this topic, because of all the search demand for all of the synonyms and the various keywords for this is the potential traffic that I could get from this one topic. And that's how you prioritize. So you might find another topic like Microsoft Outlook tricks, like who's searching for that probably. So you might find topics that are just not as popular, and existing content ranking for that shows that, because SEMrush might have less traffic for that. So does that answer that part of your question, like how to prioritize?
Yeah. Do you have like an example sheet I could see that you've done it for someone else? So like I've done this, basically what I did, and maybe this is helpful or not. I went through all of OkDork's articles. There were 700. I removed anything that got less than 10 page views in the last 30 days. I just killed it completely.
Yeah. Brian,
so I ended up removing
that, right?
Yeah, he did. And I ended up removing, I think, around 600 articles. So I have 130 or 141 articles right now. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I sorted it based on traffic. And then I went and optimized those. And then the second thing I did, optimize, meaning I took the top ones and optimized them for email collection and just to make sure they were updated for evergreen. That's one thing I was like, man, some of my articles, it's nice to make them evergreen so I don't have to worry about checking if they're updated for, today. Second thing was like, all right, well, let me actually categorize like which groups of topics I've written about and then try to see if there's a way I can prioritize those topics. So category wise, like at least for myself, like I noticed I write about marketing, personal improvement, starting a business, productivity tips, and then growing a business. So what I did, I can show it to you, is I just categorize. So tell me if you think this is good or not. Mm-hmm. I'll send you the screenshot. So from there, I took marketing as like, I know that's something I talk about a lot. And then I went through like, okay, what are major topics around that? And then how does it look on YouTube and Google? And then on Google side, like what's the competitiveness? And then from here, I'm looking for basically where's there a lot of volume and then not a lot of competition. So in marketing, it's actually pretty crappy, even though that's something I specialize in. So, and I have more knowledge about that. And so I'm like, well, what are other areas? So like productivity tips actually is really low. I love talking about that. So it's more of like, how do I find where there's opportunity and less competition and I can prioritize my time?
Yeah, I can show you that. So one thing.
Yeah, please.
YouTube, you might need to go with search volume because there's no SEMrush of YouTube where you can get the traffic. But for Google search, I would go with, I don't know if you have an SEMrush account, but I would go with the SEMrush traffic number. And here's why, because the search volume is only for that one keyword. And now Google AdWords is combining them and rounding them, and you're only getting ranges. So that's a tricky metric to go on. So I would definitely use the SEMrush estimated traffic number instead of search volume. I'm going to show you a spreadsheet. Now, this is for a company. I think you know these people, but don't say it on air. Okay. So this is we did research for 20 of their topics for their blog. And
so it's so hard not to say. Yeah.
So you know this site, right?
Yeah, I know them pretty well.
Yeah. So what we did is we first started we did what you did. We were finding the topics, right? So marketing, YouTube tips, productivity tips. And then what we did is did a quick assessment of could this particular site potentially rank for that? And I simply do a high, medium, low of a ranking.
How do you determine that ranking opportunity?
Yeah. So that's a little bit of an art, but very roughly. So if I take this keyword, the keyword is leaky gut foods to eat.
So you picked this out by looking at competitive sites or by looking at what?
Yeah, the topic ideas can come from brainstorming. They can come from competitors. They can come from keyword tools. So that's kind of a mix of all of the brainstorming that was done. But then we arrive at a list that we think make good targets for this particular site. And so you asked how to tell if you can potentially rank for something. There's several factors to potentially ranking. But a few of them are like relevance of the topic, quality of the existing results, the domain authority of the existing results, and maybe things like how old the existing results are. and what's ranking there. So I can break that down. So this query that you can see on my screen here is leaky guts food to eat. It gets 320 searches a month. And
what Chrome extension are you using for that?
This is Keywords Everywhere. Love it. Free plugin. It gives you literally keywords everywhere you go. It gives you keyword data. So I know that, I think off the top of my head.
Is that Moz, or which one is that below the results?
Below the results is the Moz plugin. Yep. The Moz bar overlay. So all the listeners, if you don't have that, definitely install the Moz bar and Keywords Everywhere. And going off of memory, I think this particular client had a domain authority of 39. So great. So a lot of this is practice, right? So one thing I like to teach people is like literally get good at reading search result pages. Like get like you're reading like the stock market, or like something that you become accustomed to understanding quickly what's going on. This particular result here, if the client has a domain authority of 40, just by the fact that many other sites are ranking with similar or lower domain authority, that's clue number one, that probably the client can rank there. Because if similar or lower domain authorities are ranking, that's a good signal that this particular topic is not overly crowded yet and it's not overly competitive. If you contrast that with if we saw domain authority 70, 80, 90, 100 all ranking on here, it'd be super hard to rank for that unless you yourself have a website that's high authority. Now, the one place that you can counteract that is if you have a very niche website. Let's say you have a website, just hypothetically, that's about dieting. Let's say all the other sites ranking have a high domain authority, but they have a low relevance match relative to the domain. So maybe you've got men's fitness ranking, maybe you've got a random paleo website ranking, maybe you've got websites that are broader in topic, but your company or your website is very specific in your niche. Maybe you exclusively write about the ketogenic diet. You might have a chance of actually ranking above higher authority sites because your niche is more specific. Does that part of it make sense? That's where you,
okay. Yeah.
So really what we're looking for is we're looking for gaps, what I call ranking opportunity gaps. Another type of gap is if you look at the results and the current results do not answer the question that the user is trying to ask or the problem that they're trying to solve. So if I were to reverse engineer this search, leaky guts food to eat, I would click on every single result and I would look to see, does that result actually answer that question to a high quality? Or maybe like you as the topic expert, maybe you've done this before, Noah, you click on a result or you're doing a search and you're like, oh, this article sucks. I could do way better than that. Maybe you just have like a visceral reaction to that. That's your chance to rank from a relevance or qualitative standpoint as well. That's how we assess here. This ranking opportunity column that you're looking at in the spreadsheet, that is the hardest part about learning SEO, in my opinion, is just knowing how to tell if you could possibly rank for something. However, you can shortcut that with a tool like SEMrush, where they have a competition metric. So what you can,
interesting. So you're looking for the lowest difficulty, most volume, basically?
Yes. What I would do, so if I was just like plain old trying to find an opportunity off of allofzapier.com, what I might do is type in one of your keywords. So productivity, and then I would add, I would exclude any anything ranking beyond maybe page 2, exclude anything greater than 20, and then what I would do is include any difficulty that maybe is below. Let's start with 70. Here you go. Here's some keyword opportunities right here, if they're a relevant match. So obviously some of these might not make sense, but productivity timer, I don't know what that is exactly. I don't know what Kanban productivity is, but you would just playing with the filters to exactly what you said, to find something lower competition, but it's got some search volume. And then what I would do from here is I would actually look at the metrics of this page. So whatever's ranking for productivity timer, now you're going to get the true traffic estimate on this. You're going to go to the URL report for that.
Oh, you can take that article and look up that specific. Okay. And you can see the keywords they have for it.
Yeah. So they get over 2,000 visits a month for that one article. And here's all the keywords. And some of them are higher difficulty, but you know, if they're ranking for some lower difficulty ones, you might be able to siphon off some of that traffic. So does that make sense? We're just kind of jumping from the keyword.
Yeah. Like how would I yeah. Okay. I guess one thing that it made me jump to is that, like, how can I review what words I'm ranking for and like see where I have opportunity, what's already happening on my site?
Yeah, so you can use your internal analytics in Google Search Console. You can go to...
Can we walk through how to do that?
Absolutely. You would need to share your account with me, or I can show you on one of my accounts.
I can just share my account.
Okay.
You don't edit out the parts where like I'm now loading this stuff?
I can edit it out.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, because if I was listening, I'd be like, all right, hurry the hell up.
Yeah, so there's a few things you can do here, and it depends upon the opportunity and the exact scenario. But what I would do is just load up your search analytics report. So you go to search traffic, search analytics, and then basically here's your top trafficked content via organic search. And then what I would do is I would just start, maybe scan it, look for something that has maybe a slightly higher average position, maybe 23.3. So how to start.
Isn't that low? Isn't that shitty?
Well, that's an average. So what might happen is if there's something very high volume, but not super relevant, that could skew your whole average. So that might be what's happening there. But you can find opportunities. So now I load up this report and I see that actually you're getting 53,000 impressions, but you're only getting 1,400 clicks on that piece of content with an average position of 23. So what I would do, now you can export this to a spreadsheet to actually, run filters and stuff, but just scanning it. And by the way, this is the Keywords Everywhere plugin, the monthly volume and the CPC. That's not normally native within this tool. So
what?
There, yeah, this is AdWords search volume and then cost per click.
Did you work for these guys?
It's so funny how this happened. This is an example of 1 out of 1,000 outreach emails that was actually valuable to me. So I know about this tool because they reached out to me on email after I wrote a post on the Next Web. And it was a great outreach email on their part because I have since tweeted it and emailed it. I'm showing it to you and I've showed it to people in Pip's Conversion XL class. So they really did a good job with that. So here's an opportunity. How to advertise on Facebook, 6,600 searches a month. And you're ranking on average position 24. So the process from here would be to say, okay, does this post that is getting an impression for how to advertise on Facebook, is that a topic match for the post, or is that just like a random kind of semi-match keyword? So you know the post better than I do. Does that?
Yeah, I know. I mean, that post is exactly how to advertise on Facebook. Yeah.
So what you would want to do is there's a few options from there, and this gets into some of the other tips that I was going to give you. But now what I would do is I would keep a short list of the top 10 or 15 posts that have a high opportunity for upside for you to promote them or for you to improve them. So, I mean, in short, there's so many things you could do with a post like this. You could update it. You could you could re-promote it. You could run Facebook ads to it, ironically enough, because I've seen sometimes correlations with Facebook ads in rankings because Google may actually look for just traffic. Like, are you getting traffic to your content as a sign for popularity of that content? Or that can, push maybe some organic sharing or organic link acquisition. Once you identify content like this, and so you can see right here, so you can list this out by top opportunity of ranking, but I actually might list it out by top opportunity for your most converting pages.
How do you track it? Like, what do you use to track find which pages convert the highest?
So Google Analytics, what you do is you go to landing pages, and I can show you this in Analytics, but the report is landing pages, and then you run a segment on organic search or Google organic search. And then as long as you're tracking goal completions, every landing page will have a conversion rate for that goal completion attached to it. So all I would do is sort by conversion rate.
Can you show me?
I can show you. Yep. And again, for listeners, they'll. And here is your list of landing pages, but by default, they're sorted by sessions. So if you email sign up, which one do you want to do? Email sign up from join page or from YouTube page?
Is that what you did, or I thought those?
Those are existing in your account.
Can we show how to build those, just so for anyone who's watching or curious?
Yeah. So to build a goal, what you do is you go to the admin and you go to goals. And then here's all your goals here. I don't know if I have access to create a goal, but I can show you an existing goal. So if you wanted to know what is this email sign up form join page, I'm clicking on that. And then this is a destination goal. So this is the best type of goal to create if you can, is a destination URL goal, because it's a little bit more trustworthy than just what's called an event triggered goal, which is somebody clicking a button. So if you have a destination page, so is this /bonus? Is that where it takes?
Yeah,
people?
/bonus is it.
Yeah. So that's the goal set up here already. So assuming that goal is in fact what you want to be tracking, I guess if it's safe to make that assumption for now, I'll go back to the landing pages here. Now there's some cool stuff I can show you that we can do. But what you would want to do is actually sort this by that goal conversion rate, number one. So now we know the pages that are converting at the highest percentage, and there's going to be some junk in here. You can filter that out, or you can, export this and filter it that way. But what we want to scan and look for is something reasonable that, and what I like to do is I like to filter for anything that has, like, let's say more than 100 sessions, because anything less than 100, like the conversion rate is going to be skewed. So now I can see, okay, why I got fired from Facebook, $100 million lesson, 200 sessions, 3% conversion rate.
Oh, that's hella interesting. So this is people that have joined and then go to they've joined something and it's sent them to the bonus page.
Yes. They've landed on this post from Google, not from anywhere else. And it was a last click conversion. So interesting, dude. I'm so dumb on some of this stuff, or just inexperienced. So yeah, that's the report that you want to look at right here. And so you could filter for higher if you thought like more than 500 visits was a more trustworthy metric. You could do that. You could expand the date range back to get a bigger sample size, like whatever you need to do to get like a comfortable sample size. This is where I would say, in theory, if we promote this content and get more traffic to it, now it should convert very well based upon this conversion rate, but maybe not. Maybe there's that inverse relationship. The more traffic you get, it could convert at a lower rate. Maybe this is an outlying number here, but it's something that I would definitely, maybe you test it with your Facebook ads, although it's a slightly different.
Oh, interesting. So that's actually a good technique. So what you could do is like take your ads and then figure out highest converting pages and send them to those.
Yeah, it's a slightly different channel because, social media ad versus a Google search to the piece of content could be slightly different, but it's worth considering that. Some people might even test PPC to get a conversion rate off of that as well. I probably don't recommend it in your case, but this is your priority of pages that you would want to promote and try to increase your organic traffic from. So what you might want to do is marry this post, for example, the Facebook post, with your Search Console data. Now we could do this, we could get fancy and probably don't have time to do this now, but you could do something like combine this with a tool or with a VLOOKUP. You could see if there's actually organic search opportunity to increase traffic from that. So now I'm going to Search Analytics. I'm looking at the keywords that you're ranking for this Facebook post. Okay. And now what you can do is you can look for any, gaps in where you could get potential traffic from that. And there's not always an upside to that, but there could be. So now this is where we might, do an analysis of something that maybe you're not ranking. So Facebook firing, who knows what the intent of people searching that is, but you rank average position 10. It has 210 searches a month. So little by little, you're kind of going through the content and trying to, find keywords that have upside to potentially increasing traffic via that keyword. Now, here's something cool. If you do want to run Facebook ads to something that maybe converts, what you might want to do is actually look at your audience demographics report. Go to interests, go to affinity categories. Oh, you don't have it turned on.
How do I enable it? Let's do it.
Yeah, I think you would have to go into your analytics account.
Here, I'll do it.
Yep. And by the way, I have time, but I don't know if you have a time cutoff. Just let me know.
All I have is time, dude. We have a happy hour at 5:30 for the office.
Okay. Is that 10 minutes for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see. So affinity categories, enable. Oh, you have to go and enable it. Ugh. All right. So I hit enable, but it says it takes some time. So what do I get? Can you show me an example of what I'll see from that?
Sure. I'll show you. I'll just click on a random website that I know has some interesting stuff. So the goal here is to find the demographics according to affinity categories that convert the highest. And the theory is that that might potentially give you insight to some targeting that you could do in Facebook.
Oh, that's so interesting. So you basically figure out the affinity and then which ones actually have you can see which ones convert.
Yes. So music lovers, TV lovers, news junkies, shopaholics, home decor, technophiles. Unfortunately, this random site I clicked on does not have a goal set up, so I can't show the final thing. But you would do the same thing. You would sort by conversion rate and then maybe filter for low traffic affinities, and then you'd be on your way. You would that would give you some insight into maybe potential targeting to play around with. So I talked a little bit about finding other websites that have similar content that you can get content ideas from. Zapier, for example, led me to to-do list, which led me to this keyword here, productivity podcasts. I know you have a podcast now. You're interested in productivity. I think there's an opportunity for you if you wanted to create a piece of content, your favorite productivity podcasts or the ones that help you with productivity, you could potentially rank here for that topic. It's simply
why do you think that is?
I've noticed that OkDork ranks fairly easily for some things. It's because you have a high domain authority. The site's been around for a very long time. You do a great job with content. The design's good. So the quality is there. So you have the leverage of being able to choose a little bit more strategically, slightly higher competition keywords because of your domain authority and your site authority. Whereas like if somebody just starting out with a business blog, they're not going to be able to compete here. But because you have a podcast, because you like productivity, because a lot of the results here are not a great match, in my opinion. Like they've just got the player.fm featured list. They've got some older content. They've got an actual productivity show, not a list of podcasts. Now, the second opportunity here is you may have seen what we call featured snippets in the search result. Can you see that on my screen?
Yeah.
So the featured snippet is your opportunity, as us SEOs are calling it, rank 0. So you're just going to skip above position number 1. And there's some theories for how to do this. And so the way that this site's potentially doing it here is they basically have just a list. So the piece of content is structured in a way that Google's algorithm can pick up on the fact that this is a list. And that's all Google is doing is they're saying, oh, great, there's a piece of content. It's well written, it's high authority, and they have a list of the best productivity podcasts. So if you structure your content in that way, using actual numbers or bullets or subheadings, H3s, H4s, whatever they are, you can potentially also get the second benefit of having a featured snippet result. And these 50% of search results now have these featured snippets. So it's a huge potential opportunity.
Do you have to set up any like meta tags around that, or do they just figure it out?
They just figure it out. So the best way to do it is to try to structure the content with HTML. So if your OkDork has HTML structure to it, like if you set like a heading, like heading 3, or you use a bullet point, or you use a number, that's going to put the HTML structure into your content for you. And the way you can tell if you're eligible to get the snippet, but you're just not showing up at the top, see this result here? The onething.com, they have a longer snippet. That means that that text is what would actually show up at the top.
If they made it to the top.
If they made it. But see this result here, player.fm, they don't have the snippet text at all.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So for like the one thing, like what's your thought on promoting it so that they have a chance to get up there? Assuming that the domain rank of the above sites is easier.
Oh, how would player.fm get there? They would,
or like these other guys, yeah.
Yeah. They would want to try to structure the content. So in this instance, people are looking for a list. So that means you probably want to structure the content to have a numbered list or use headers. It's basically just good structure to the content and the underlying HTML. And so if I go to player.fm, chances are they're not getting the potential featured snippet because just the content's not structured well enough. So that's exactly what's going on here. So their content is, it's laid out kind of in a grid. There's no numbers here. Who knows if these are even H tags or what the structure is to this. This list is, by the way, is not a concise list with an ending. This list just goes on and almost infinitely. Whereas the other list is like, these are the top 10 productivity podcasts. So it has like it's enclosed in a specific amount. We talked about identifying the top converting pages by looking in analytics. So, and I know earlier you were talking about wanting to do things that you don't have to like go out there and talk to people. And like, that's why the Facebook ads are enticing. So some of these pointers might not apply to the path that you're going to take. But if you were willing to provide a piece of guest content or maybe appear on somebody's podcast, take your top 10 pieces of content by conversion rate or by organic opportunity, match those with high authority, high traffic, high audience sites that have a good topical match. Whereas if you were a guest again on Tim Ferriss's podcast, or if you were a guest on...
Yeah. Can you show me the content that acquired the most links? That one's kind of...
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to... Yeah. Oh, you're still going through it.
Yeah.
So basically go get guest links from top sites.
Yes, but strategically marry that with your top converting pieces of content. That's the dots I was talking about earlier about connecting. Is you're not just being a guest anywhere for any reason. You're strategically tying that to actually place the content that has a topical match to that. So
got it.
If you social media examiner, if you have your talk about LinkedIn on your blog, so you would want to find a way to work that into your interview if they talk to you, and that way they're going to link to you from their site. The one you asked about, this is super interesting. So what I would do is I do 80-20 principle with like most of my analysis. You might have noticed that. I know you like the 80-20 rule as well.
I think we all like it in theory. I think no one actually does it.
Take at least the theoretical approach to 80-20 with your existing link portfolio. So in Open Site Explorer, if you put in okdork.com, go to top pages. Now I can see of your past content, what has acquired the most linking root domains already. I don't know if you've done any intentional link building to this or if it's been mostly organic, but what you can do here is reverse engineer what type of content, either topically or...
This is cool.
Yeah. And I knew I was going to find this, but I want to show it to you. So why content goes viral, analyzing 100 million articles taught.
Here.
So analyzing 1 million headlines.
So basically like analyzing articles for me.
Yes. Studies, surveys, data, statistics, all of those get linked to like crazy. And so the point there being is to leverage that content type as something you can create, again, get your first 100 email subscribers as ways that you can build new links to new pieces of content. So this way you're strategically coming up with types of content that you know naturally, even if you don't do link building, should acquire links naturally because of past content.
Okay, it's cool.
A couple other quick things. I have to go in a second. Some of these are a little tactical, but they do work. So what you want to update your old 301, or your old URL. So you
did I not do that?
Not on all of them. So, and I could dig into the specifics, but essentially what I'm saying here is you've 301 redirected the content, but you want to go back to the old link sources where you got the links and ask them to update their link. Maybe you have one of your assistants or employees do this for you. It's basically, it's a tactic. It's not a strategy, but it's something where if you're updating those, Google is now going to prioritize the new URL, and they're more going to easily crawl that new URL source and pass the full value to that. So it's a great, it's a great little tactic. There's other tactical things, some technical things. So for example, if I crawl OkDork, this is super important from a crawl efficiency standpoint. So when I crawl okdork.com, I'm getting a lot of internal 301s, meaning that you're linking to URLs that then pass through a 301 to take people to their final page. Go through and clean that up. Have a developer, somebody clean that up for you. You can install a plugin called the Broken Link Checker into WordPress. It finds all these 301s and it gives them to you in a nice dashboard, and you can just update them.
So, because like they're finding that one that has the redirection. So I just need to get the people linking to it, make sure the links are updated.
Yeah. So internally on OkDork, you control all your internal links. So instead of linking to the old URL version of hit the Amazon bestseller list that has the date in the URL, all of the inlinks which appear on your resources page, on this blog post, and on that blog post, update those links to point to the new URL, right? Because if I go to load this old URL, that's going to redirect to the version without the date in it.
Oh, so just do all the internal ones first. I mean, those are easy.
Yes. And like I was saying, you can use a plugin called the Broken Link Checker plugin for WordPress. I assume this site's on WordPress. So you can install that plugin. It will find all these for you, and you can update them in one dashboard without going to the individual post to update all of them. So it's super easy to do that way. And then that plugin will find internal broken links as well. Good to fix those. But this way, you're starting with your own site, updating all the internal links. And then what I would do is go to the highest authority sites like Tim Ferriss's site or Ramit or whoever's linking to you, and at least update those external links to your new URLs versus the old ones.
Okay.
Noah, I have many other tips, but
Yeah. Why don't you hit it? No, I'll just run through them. I just want to hear it.
All right. So
what's claimed unlinked mentions?
This is another tactic. It's not like a strategy per se, but this tool in Moz, link opportunities. If I go to unlinked mentions and I say, okay, show me all the recent websites.
That's super interesting.
Yeah. Show me all the recent websites that have mentioned your name, but don't link to OkDork or sumo.com. And so there might be a few of these a month. It's not like you're going to get hundreds of links out of these, but maybe you have somebody on your team
that's a super good one. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they just reach out to the site and they say, hey, you mentioned us, you used our logo. Why don't you give us a link and attribute it?
Yeah, I can ask them. Actually, that's a great one. I really like that one.
Yeah.
Man, the feature's cool. Like back in the day, it was like, man, our website listed is pretty neat.
There's so many like link tactics and strategies like that. Like another one would be find every website that mentions Tim Ferriss and Ramit, but not you. And if it's a list of like find every podcast list that mentions Tim Ferriss's podcast, maybe Derek Halpern's podcast, but doesn't mention you, that's an opportunity to reach out to them and say, hey, you've got a great podcast list. I have a new podcast. Reach out to them and say, can you add me to your list? If it's appropriate, of course. Or the other thing you can do is find old podcasts that are like yours. Like I know Derek hasn't done anything with his podcast for a long time. Maybe reach out and say, hey, like Derek's podcast is old, it's outdated, like he doesn't update it. Maybe it's better to link to mine because it's actually active and it's new. So with these link tools, you can find those opportunities that way. That's what this link intersect tool is here. So this is where you would plug in 4hourworkweek.com, I will teach you to be rich.com, but not linking to OkDork.
Oh, that's interesting. The other idea that I thought was creative potentially is like for people who haven't really updated their shows or updated their blogs, like go update it for them. Be like, hey, I've created some new content. I'm going to mention you. Plus I'll mention you on my own stuff. So I think there's something kind of interesting with that.
Yeah, I did that. So upcity.com had a list of 10 marketing and SEO podcasts. The last one on the list was old. It was broken. I wrote to them. I wrote them the summary of mine. I gave them the link. I told them exactly what to put on their site, and they swapped mine out with the old one. So it's doing that at scale. I know you talk about trying to scale things. So scaling these activities is where it gets a little tricky with these one-off things. But that's where if you have somebody helping you with the outreach part of it, that's where you can start to scale it. One thing, so you've already killed old pages, right? That don't get traffic?
Yeah, I did that one.
Yeah. Another thing is think a little bit about, I know you have an archive page where then you link to archive by date and by category. Think a little bit about maybe offering even a little bit better navigation, maybe at the bottom of posts or maybe in your footer, maybe you link to an HTML sitemap or maybe you link to the categories. I think what happens is your old content gets pushed down after time. And then, of course, Google's not crawling that as frequently and users aren't finding it as easily. And so maybe
I'm re-updating. I think what's wrong with blogs these days is that it's chronological when it really should just be about like user experience, reader experience.
And topical.
So it's like, if I'm looking for marketing, let me get my marketing stuff. And so we're redoing the blog page. And I think that's what most people should do. So in about a week or so, that should be out there.
Yep.
What's the PDF stuff? Let's keep rocking.
All right. You're going to love this one. So the small downside in this, if somebody lands on a PDF, it's not as guaranteed they're going to click anything and get to your website, but check this out. So I know you like to write book reviews and you love to read books.
I read a ton of book reviews.
Yeah. Create a PDF summary. Because if you look at this, Creativity Inc. PDF, almost 2,000 searches a month, and I'm sure there's more with Longtail and everything. There's a couple random summaries that rank. They're a little bit lower. I'm going to guess they might be lower domain authority potentially. Maybe I'm going to be proven wrong here in a second. But I think if you create a PDF summary of the book reviews, it could just even be a PDF version of your blog post. I think you'd capture a lot of traffic opportunity because people want book information in PDF format. They want to download it. They want it to save it for later. And what you do, link to the PDF from your actual regular book review, and maybe have people collect email addresses to do it in that way. But at least then you're providing a PDF version where you can drive some. I look at it like this. It's low effort, high opportunity because you have the content already. It's just a matter of creating a PDF, sticking a link to it, and then getting it on your site. And then there's a lot of, as you can see here, search volume for that, but it's high opportunity because not much content like that exists.
No, I like that. I think your point there in general is really good, is like, how do you take something and then repurpose it from that you're already doing as a byproduct that would increase your overall traffic? And so like, how do you repurpose things or get more byproduct products?
Exactly. One thing I want to make sure I didn't just gloss over. Was that helpful for you? Does that give you some things to do?
Yeah. I mean, I think part of it, what's interesting about people in general is that we all have our own plans of like, here's everything I'm going to do. And then someone gives you a different thing. And you're like, no, that's not part of my plan.
Yeah.
But my thought is more of like, between this and other activities, what's the best use? And so I think there's two parts. I think number one, it's like, how do I prioritize the content I create to maximize my leverage of it? Right. Like I can create productivity or marketing, which one's going to give me the biggest results? So going and having more of a system in place, like that's not art, but all science, to actually deciding that, number one. And then number two, I think like the tactic, kind of like getting links and stuff like that, is kind of a little bit more secondary, that I can put as part of, I think what I want to do is put that part of like an intern checklist. So like, hey, you just do this once a month, kind of something that make sure I can always look for like unlinked mentions. I think that one's good. Or if there's lists and things like that I should be on.
I think that's exactly it is, because there's no way that you personally are going to be able to scale doing that kind of activity, but you have the benefit of having help to help you with that. So,
okay. Well, I got to get rocking. I don't know if you have any final questions or anything like that.
No, I appreciate you coming on the show. It's been,
yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, it's been tons of fun. It's been really enjoyable catching up, talking to you and everything. So, but I guess real quickly, tell people where obviously they can find you and all that kind of stuff online.
Yeah. Number one, if you are looking to grow your website, specifically your email list, or need marketing tools, they're free. Go to sumo.com. Groupon for Geeks if you want to get like great deals on products, appsumo.com. And then for me, if you like this podcast and you want more marketing and business related stories, Noah Kagan Presents podcast. You can find it in wherever the hell you are in your mobile world.
Awesome. Noah, thank you so much. I'm going to let you go to your happy hour, and we'll talk soon.
Every hour should be happy, Dan.
I agree.
All right, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank far. Okay, everyone, if you made it that far, I'm very impressed. Thank you for sticking around, and I hope you found those SEO tips very helpful for your site as well. Once again, you can go to evolvingseo.com/wire to subscribe to this podcast, where you can get lots of SEO and marketing information like what you heard here with Noah. You can go to evolvingseo.com/Noah for all the show notes for this episode, to hear the entire thing, to hear Noah give his marketing tips. And you can go to evolvingseo.com/SEMrush trial for 15 days free with SEMrush, to see you out there on the web. I hope to see you soon. Take care. Thanks for watching. Adios. Bye-bye.